Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. Coming up on today's show, I'm going to be doing a mock draft that I ran on PFF, and the way that I wanted to do this is think about how Kliff Kingsbury, Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco would navigate the 2024 NFL Draft. So everything that I am doing right now is just based on the information that we know at this moment, and I am putting Kliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. Before we get into our picks, the Las Vegas Raiders have 9 picks as it stands right now. You got the number 13th overall pick. Then you got round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6, and then 3 picks as it stands right now in the 7th round of the 2024 NFL Draft. So 9 picks in total. But here's the thing. If you're going to have a guy like Kliff Kingsbury, well, guess what? I'm going to get a little bit aggressive here. I'm going to pick up my phone, and I've said this multiple times. If you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you cannot wait until draft day to say, I'm going to try to trade for a quarterback. You got to do it right now, because if you wait till draft day, you might miss out on everything that happens in free agency, and you got to start planning right now. That's when you have to do it. Can't wait till the draft. So here's the trade that ended up going down. The Las Vegas Raiders got the number 1 overall pick. The Chicago Bears, they're going to get 13, 44, and 77 in this year's draft. Then in 2025, they're getting a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and then they're also going to get Jakobi, Meyers, wide receiver, because it is one of the biggest needs for the Chicago Bears. So guess what? We are on the clock. We have the number 1 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. I'm not trading all the way up here to not select a quarterback. Spoiler alert. So I'm going to let y'all decide. Do you want to roll with Drake Maye, type DM? Do you want to roll with Jayden Daniels, type JD? Or are you going to roll with Caleb Williams at a USC type CW? If there is somebody else that you would rather the Raiders draft, type O, but I'm looking right now down in the chat, and I'm seeing a lot of Caleb Williamses, and personally, I think it's between Caleb and Jayden Daniels for the Las Vegas Raiders if they traded up to the number 1 overall pick. And the reason why that I say that is because Kliff Kingsbury has that relationship with Caleb Williams. Antonio Pierce, Marvin Lewis, this coaching staff has this relationship with Jayden Daniels. You already know, I'm a big Drake Maye fan. If I had the number 1 overall pick, I probably would take Maye if Klint Kubiak was the Raiders OC. But based off of having Kliff Kingsbury at OC and also with Antonio Pierce, I'm saying it's either going to be Caleb Williams or it's going to be Jayden Daniels, is how I would believe that they would have their big board ranked. So let's make it happen here. With the number 1 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select USC quarterback Caleb Williams. I mean, if you want to talk about upside, 68.6% completion percentage, 3,633 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions last season with the Trojans. On top of that, though, this is somebody that gets comped to Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying he's going to be Patrick Mahomes. You can't expect that anybody is going to be arguably the best quarterback that has ever stepped foot on the field. But you know what? This is a guy that actually gives us a chance to prevent Kansas City going to another Super Bowl, to prevent Kansas City from winning an AFC West title, to prevent Kansas City going to another AFC championship game. I'm done with mediocrity at QB. I am willing to go all in if it means finding somebody that has the upside that Caleb Williams has. Does he have some downside? Yeah, absolutely. To be honest with you, I think out of Maye, Jayden, and Williams, his floor is the lowest. If you were to ask me, who do I think is the most likely to bust out of those 3 QBs, I'll say Caleb Williams. However, which one has the highest upside to me? I will also say Caleb Williams. I mean, you can look at his numbers here from the past 2 seasons with the Trojans. He had a good little run there with the Oklahoma Sooners on top of that. But overall, if you have Kliff Kingsbury and you bring him in, and if you have the number 1 pick, I would say that he's going to roll with his guy, Caleb Williams. All right, so this is where we are currently at with our remaining picks in our 2024 draft. Caleb Williams goes off the board at number 1. Remember, we trade a pick 44 and 77 to Chicago, which now means we are in the 4th round at pick 112. And what I really tried to do here is address some of the needs, and I also really tried to think about, if I'm going to invest this much in my quarterback spot, you got to be able to protect them. And on the board here was somebody that I was very happy to have, Sedrick Van Pran, center out of Georgia. And to me, I'm looking for somebody that's got a lot of playing experience and playing big-time football. When you think about a PFF grade at 77.9, all good. 6'4", 310 pounds, big boy at center. The Las Vegas Raiders, though, on top of that, they're going to be losing some of their key pieces on that O-line. Remember, Jermaine Illuminor, free agent. Greg Van Roten, free agent. Andre James, free agent. So for Van Pran here, he started at center for the Georgia Bulldogs the past 3 seasons. Like, you want to talk about, that's 2 national championships, and even though they didn't make the college football playoffs, I mean, let's face it, Georgia the past 3 years was a dominant football program. In the last 3 years, he allowed 1 sack, 1 hit allowed. His football IQ is what a lot of coaches have really mentioned about him. Dude is a mauler in the run game, and he's going to be one mean mother effer. Like, really, truly is. Could he get better in his pass game protection, especially at the next level? Absolutely. But if you're the Las Vegas Raiders right now and you only know that you have Kolton Miller, Dylan Parham, well, okay now, I need to be able to address the offensive line to the best ability that I can. I don't know if Andre James is going to come back. If you told me based on money, would I rather bring back Jermaine Illuminor or Andre James? I will take Jermaine Illuminor over Andre because I do think it's going to be cheaper, and right tackle is potentially a need for this team. Sure, you could put Thayer Munford in there at right tackle. You could also have some flexibility with Dylan Parham at center. But the bottom line is this. I want to be able to protect Caleb Williams' blind side to the best of my ability. And with that being said, Kolton Miller, Dylan Parham, then Sedrick Van Pran there at center for Georgia. Let's go to round 5, pick 146 here in the 2024 NFL Draft. But guess what? We finally have the information y'all have been waiting for. If you want to pull up for our big game watch party, Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're going to be live at the Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel inside of Ahern Live Showroom. This thing is going to be unbelievable. I'm telling you right now, from what I understand, originally I thought we were only going to be able to fit 85 to 100 people. I was actually told today we can actually get up to 200 people all encompassing in this room. It's also multi-level, so it's not just one level, it's 2 levels. Here's the address if you want to show up. The start time is at 2 p.m. Pacific time, February 11th. It's the day of the big game itself. If you're wondering, all right, well, Mitch, what does it look like on the outside? Here's what the hotel looks like from the outside. On the inside, this is what the bar area kind of looks like, and you can kind of see with the ring, the upper part of the showroom there. Again, it's hidden back there a little bit. But Chuggs and I will be on the stage. We're going to have a bunch of drink deals for all of y'all, and this is very important. It is free to enter, okay? I do want to say that. Free to enter. All you got to do is go to the link that you see down below. It's also in the comments and the description. Chatsports.com/biggame. BIGGAME. Chatsports.com/biggame is how you reserve a spot. I will say this, though. Space is limited. The only way that you can guarantee 100% reserve yourself a spot is you can get a happy hour pass, which is $99, or a VIP pass, which is $149. I will say, if you pay for the $99, you get unlimited craft and draft beers and unlimited happy hour bites. I've looked at the food menu. It's a whole buffet. It looks awesome. Or it's bar food. Or $149 for, again, unlimited craft, draft beers, and unlimited happy hour bites. I'll say this. If you want to actually chug some beers, hang out with Jeremy and I live on the show when we are watching the big game together, get the VIP pass. If you're like, Mitch, I have no interest whatsoever of coming on that stage, giggity, and chugging a beer with y'all, well, I'll be real with you. Just get the happy hour pass. Though VIP, you will have access to both levels. Happy hour pass, you will only have access to one level. If you're like, I'm not paying for it, it's okay. You can still show up. It is free to show up. It's just more of a, I can't guarantee you a seat. The way that I understand this is they know they have 200 seats. They're trying to get everything reserved. So it's free to come. But if you want unlimited food, unlimited drinks, you can either go $99 if you don't want to come up on stage. If you do plan on coming up on stage, I would recommend getting the $149 deal. I'll tell you this. If you think that that's not a good deal, go to Las Vegas in general for unlimited food, unlimited drinks, and then especially go there for the big game. This is an absolute steal. Go to chatsports.com/biggame to reserve your spots. I'm telling you right now, they are going to go very, very quickly. And this is the first time that I've even shown it here on the Raiders Report. All right, let's go to my next pick here, and this is just going to be one of my guys. I think I have done now 3 mock drafts, and all 3 times I have selected Cam Hart, cornerback out of Notre Dame. I know that Tom Telesco loves himself a good Notre Dame player. They are smart. They are intelligent football players. But Hart continues to be just a my guy. The film you watch on him, the dude is an athletic freak. And he made Bruce Feldman's freak list coming in at number 38. The tape to me shows that he can play man. He can play zone. Some people think that he might even be versatile enough to play both safety and to play corner. His technique does need to get better. But to me, he's worth the upside. Like, to me, I love the coaching staff that the Raiders have on the defensive side of the football, and they're going to be able to work with Cam Hart. Because when you're 6'2", when you're 200 pounds, when you can tackle the way that he does, when you move the way that Cam Hart does, I'm telling you right now, he is going to be a very intriguing prospect. He needs to land on the right team. Like, I could see Cam Hart's career legitimately going like Jack Jones, where if he lands on a team that's not going to use him correctly and it's not patient with him, he could fizzle out. Or you could get the Jack Jones that the Raiders had, where you're like, all right, this guy's a freaking baller right now, and he's going out there and he's doing his thing. Cam Hart is one of my guys, and if I can get him in a mock draft, I'm going to do it every single time. Let's go to round 6 here, pick 208. I'm going to go with defensive interior, Myles Murphy from North Carolina. And one of the things that I like to do this time of the year, and when there's Senior Bowl notes that go out there, considering the fact that the Raiders have multiple coaches at the Senior Bowl, guess what? Teams start to get interested in certain guys, and I like to look at certain dudes because when they're performing, when they're performing at the Senior Bowl, that's one of those like extra bumps up somebody's list. I don't think that Myles Murphy's going to last to round 6. I'll be real with you. At 6'5", 310 pounds, but everything that I am hearing from the Senior Bowl is Murphy has looked really, really good on one-on-one drills. And at the defensive tackle position, I know you don't always get one-on-one spots, but when you do and you can take advantage of it, that is a really good trait to have. 24 tackles, 1 sack, 0 forced fumbles this past season with the Tar Heels. Let's go now to the round 7. And at this point in the draft, I look for depth, I look for leaders, I look for special teams. And I'm going to go with Josh Proctor, safety out of Ohio State. This guy's got a lot of playing experience, and when you can find somebody in round 7 that has played the amount of important football games that Proctor has with the Buckeyes, that, again, is something that I like to look at. At 6'2", 205 pounds this past season, 47 tackles, 1 INT, 8 pass breakups. But also on top of that, I don't know what the future holds for somebody like a Chris Smith. Like, Chris Smith was a player that Chugs liked. He's a player that I like too, smart guy, but you also got to consider that's part of the McDaniels and Dave Ziegler regime, right? Do you try to bring in your own safeties? You just hired a brand new safeties coach. Like, you have Marcus Epps. I would imagine you're going to try to bring back Isaiah Polameo. He's going to be an exclusive rights free agent. But then on top of that, you have Merrick, you have Epps. What happens if you do potentially don't see your defense working with Chris Smith? Could you bring in Proctor, who also, I believe, could play a little bit of special teams? He is kind of undersized to play like a strong safety role and what the Raiders would potentially want. But he's got the height, he's got the length. I think it's an interesting prospect to try to go out and potentially look at. Let's go to the next pick here in round 7. I'm going to go J.C. Davis, offensive tackle from New Mexico. And when I consider some of the big needs here for the Silver and Black, I'm looking at offense, I'm looking at defense. There's a lot of different opportunities that you can go with. And you can call me, you can say what you want. If I see a guy from Oakland, I'm kind of a sucker for it. I'm not going to lie. 6'5", 307 pounds, PFF grade this past year at 77.7. But the reason why I'm interested in Davis is because of he does have some good athletic traits. And anytime that you're an offensive lineman that's as big as what Davis is and you can move the way that he does, I'm like, all right, I can learn from that a little bit. You're not going to put him in a situation where right away he's got to go out there and do anything. It's more just of a depth move. Like, I would take J.C. Davis. It's kind of the way when the Raiders drafted Nesta J. Silvera. And I know Nesta J. Silvera did not work out this year, but that doesn't mean that he's never going to work out. Shit, think of it as like Darren Munford. Darren Munford was drafted in the 7th round. That's a better comp because he's an offensive tackle. My point is, I don't need him to be good now, but can he be good in 2 or 3 years? With the right offensive coaching, I think that it absolutely could happen. And then round 7 at pick 226, I'm going to go with the running back position. And just because he plays at a small school, I know that not a lot of people know too much about him, but Isaiah Davis, the running back from South Dakota State, I've watched this kid play live, and maybe it's because I like watching FCS football more than a bowl game anymore because they actually mean something. This kid's a hell of a runner, right? Like 6'1", 220 pounds. If you do this does not mean that, oh, Jacobs is gone. It just means like you have Zamir White. It adds a little bit more competition for Sincere McCormick. Brandon Bolden's not going to be coming back. Amir Abdul is a free agent. And for a hard-nosed runner, like to me, this is the type of player that I'm willing to take a chance on. The kid is a good football player. He's played in a lot of big games. And to me, in the 7th round, what do you have to lose? Let's go with it. Isaiah Davis out of South Dakota State. Let's go Jackrabbits. So here we go, y'all, is my mock draft with Kliff Kingsbury at OC. In the first round, at pick number 1 overall, I traded up and I selected Caleb Williams. Remember, I had to end up moving on from Jakobi Meyers. I also traded pick 13, pick 44, pick 77, and then 3 picks in next year's draft. First round, second round, third round. In round 4, then, I went with Sedrick Van Pran, center from Georgia. In the 5th round, Cam Hart, corner from Notre Dame. At defensive tackle in the 6th round, Myles Murphy, DT from North Carolina. Then in the 7th round, Josh Proctor from Ohio State. J.C. Davis, offensive tackle from New Mexico, and then Isaiah Davis, running back from South Dakota State University. I don't know if you guys can see it down below, but I want you to grade my mock draft A, B, C, D, or F, and this is where, be honest with me, A, it's excellent, B, it's good, C, it's average, D, it's bad, F, it's a fail. Here's how, I'm just being real, it's an A. And the only reason why in my book it is an A is you have yourself a franchise quarterback. If the Raiders come out of their draft with a franchise QB, it's an A. If the Raiders do not come out of that draft with Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, or Caleb Williams come actual draft day, I promise you this right now, I will not give that draft an A unless you address proper positions in free agency, which gives me a little bit more confidence come draft day. But unless you do Williams, Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, I don't know if I'm going to be giving any A's out on draft night.